All right, we all know that real estate prices in San Diego are up a lot, over 20% year over year. But what's causing that, and can it continue? Jim Klinge is here. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Derrick.
Jim Klinge is here.
Yep.
Make sure I get that correct.
Yep.
So, Jim, you write an awesome blog where you put
Thank you.
tons of data out there. It's super fun to follow. We're going to have the link for you guys. You can check it out. You can click on that, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and read up on what you've been writing. So you've got all this stuff in your head, man, and
Yes.
you're just putting it all out there. I'm like, okay, this is the guy to ask this question to. So why are prices going up? What's the reason? And can this continue, basically?
I think it's going to continue because how we got here was already festering. It was already cooking
Mm-hmm.
in the couple years preceding COVID, and COVID just magnified it, just blew it out of proportion, and made it obvious what the problems are. There's not enough inventory. There's not enough people who want to move. And the buyers, I think we've pulled forward buyers from the next 2, 3, 4 years, and now the demand is super stocked. We got people
Yes.
lined up for miles
We do.
and nothing to sell them. And it doesn't seem like anything's going to change that.
Could anything change that? I mean, it would take like aside from a 9/11 type of situation or a war or something like that. I mean, is there anything that could happen in the market? Like, for example, a lot of people ask me, since I do loans, like, hey, if interest rates go up, they constantly ask me about interest rates because they think if rates go up, that's going to cause prices to come down. Is there anything like that we should be looking at?
The interest rates used to play a big role. We always talked about
Right?
how the up and downs of rates changes the market. But not anymore.
Why do you think that
We
is?
have endured a 20, 30, there's even places, 40% increase in 1 year on prices. Interest rates going up and down even 1 or 2% probably isn't going to change that because there's still buyers stacked up for miles.
Yeah.
If we only have 1 or 2 buyers instead of 5 or 10 buyers for each house, we're still going to have a market. So there's a real imbalance currently. What could change it? Let's talk about drastic changes. How about if, how do we get more supply? Let's ask the Marines to give up Miramar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's drastic.
That is.
Oh, they're never going to do that. Well, if they did, look at all the land
It's a lot.
we could. It's not just Miramar, but their flight path going east of the 15 is thousands of acres.
Yeah.
We could build all that out and balance it out. Or how about a place like City of Carlsbad, which prides itself on having 40% open space? Well, it's completely built out. How about if we give up some of that open space? 10%.
Yeah.
You can live with 30% open space.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an incredible fight. There would have to be a heck of a sales job, and somebody would have to really pioneer an incredible movement and point out how drastic it's a housing crisis, how
It is.
drastic this is. It may not be obvious to everyone until after next year when prices keep going up again, because everyone's thinking, well, it went up 30%. That's all. It's going to just flatten out, and that's going to be the end of it. Oh, what if it isn't?
Yeah.
And next year is the same. We're already at the point where only affluent people can afford to buy these homes.
Yeah.
You can go further out to San Marcos, Escondido, Fallbrook, but it's still expensive. It's not like they're cheap homes.
Right.
They're just less expensive. So it is an affluent market already, and it's just going to get worse. And
I think it was you who told me this. I remember when I used to sell homes to police officers and
yes,
teachers and stuff like that. And, I got my first taste of what was possible with this when I went to San Francisco to see my buddy's house, which he's the richest guy that I know. Okay? He has the most money of anybody that I know for sure. And he bought this 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath condo in a good location, but it was like 1.6 million. He had to pay all cash and close in 10 days, and he had lost out on several offers. You know, and now this is several years back. Okay, and I was like, that can't. How could a market ever get to that point? I said, if that's like that up here in San Francisco, it's got to one day be that way
Here.
in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I think we're finally starting to see the early stages of that here. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and it's been in the works. We've had bidding wars before COVID. I mean, it's been built into this. What the COVID era, COVID didn't change it, but this era changed, is it picked up more of the inferior homes. The bidding wars used to be just on those real primo, grade A properties, because everybody wants those, like
Yeah.
a 1-story up
Yeah.
on the hill, ocean view. Whoo-hoo.
Yeah.
A lot of people jumping at those, but the rest of them were just, well, now they're all like that. And there shouldn't be any surprise that when you have heavier demand, there's more bidding wars. And it has been frustrated, I think, by the lack of transparency. When you get into a bidding war, you don't know what to expect. There's no rules, there's no laws. It's whatever the listing agent wants to do with it. And once a buyer gets burned a few times, when they put in an offer, they don't have any idea where it's going or what's going to happen. They just get a phone call from the agent. Okay, we lost. Let's go get another one. Have that happen to you enough times, you just get to the point where it's just, get me one.
Yeah.
I'll just pay whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that is what's happened here in the last year, really. That frustration has boiled over, and people have just, I just was telling Rob about the one this year where I sold one on the street for 1.9 million, and the same model goes on the market 2 weeks later, 1.9 million.
Wow.
That's a smart seller, smart agent.
Right.
I'm not greedy. I paid a lot less. I'll just take what the last guy got.
Mm-hmm.
Closed for 2.45 million.
Oh my goodness.
550,000 over.
Where was this?
Bressy Ranch,
Okay.
Carlsbad.
Wow.
My 1.9 million sale was the highest sale in Bressy Ranch. It wasn't like,
For 1 month.
yeah, for a couple weeks. And
But
if you want me to explain that, it's not going to include any of the typical real estate principles that we've all known and practiced up until 2020. It's a whole new ballgame. And that's why it's just as likely to keep going this way. It's an unprecedented market. We've never had anything like it, and we should just forget all the real estate principles that got us here and come up with new rules.
Okay. What should those new rules be? I think that's the big question here, because if I think we're in agreement that this isn't the end. This isn't the top of anything. At least it certainly doesn't appear to be.
No.
And so if that's the case, then what kind of new rules are we being governed by here in this real estate market?
Well, there has to be a industry-wide, if you ask me, or at least regionally. Somebody has to get together and decide we need new rules. We need to change how this works. And the thing that would change everything is if we went to an auction format.
Really? You think
Because
this
at
would-
least that provides transparency. So at least if you keep getting your butt kicked on every bidding war, you have full knowledge, number one, of everything that took place. Because right now you don't know. You
Right.
just get a phone call, hey, you lost. Well, how'd that happen? I paid 50 grand over this. That should have been enough. And then you see it close and close for 40 grand. Oh. In an auction, you get to look everybody in the eye and see who the enemy is
Who's doing what?
and see if you want to outbid them. But at least it's real. At least it's transparent.
So you think that the lack of transparency is part of the reason for this run-up?
It makes crazy buyers crazier.
Because they don't know.
They don't know, and it's frustrating. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this. Just pay whatever.
Yeah.
And that part needs to stop. That's unfair to buyers. It's twisting the market up in a weird way. And the thing that's going to be coming, now that we have a year's worth of comps, where people have been paying 50, 100, 150 over list price, what's the comp?
Yeah.
Should we just call it the list price or
Is this sale price?
150 over?
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, those are the craziest buyers that, for whatever reason, threw all the real estate principles out the window and decided, I don't care, I'm just going to pay a price that I can't verify, I can't back up. There's really no reason for me to pay this. I just need to buy a house today. That, if you go by real estate principles, shouldn't be counted. You think about back in the day, a long time ago, when we had foreclosures, distressed properties, appraisers wouldn't use them.
Right.
Those are distressed.
Right.
Well, you could say the same thing. These are distressed buyers that pay. If it just slows down enough that we don't have that insanity, are those comps real? Well, if you ask sellers who are thinking about putting their home on the market today, they believe it.
Yeah.
At
for sure.
2.45. That's my comp, baby.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll take 2.5.
Right. Should be more.
But there was only one guy on the planet that was willing to pay that. Oh, but he paid it, but nobody else would have.
Here's an interesting thing you may recall. In the past, appraisers would lean a lot more on the cost approach than the comparison approach. Or at least it was 50-50. It was in consideration.
There was,
You know,
both were on the appraisal
They were
report.
both on there, and it was
Yeah.
something that was looked at and it mattered.
Yeah.
And people always ask me, is this price too much? Like my buyers will say things like that. Like, is this too much to pay for this house?
What's it really worth?
What's it really worth?
Yeah.
And my
hate
answer
that
is, well,
question.
what would it cost to create this? I
Yeah.
mean, could you make this? Can you make this house for less than that? Is the question.
Yeah.
And and that's part of the reason why I'm so bullish on San Diego real estate, because frankly, you can't. On most of it, there's no way
We're
to
out
do
of
it.
land. There's no land left.
That's it.
And
So if I can't make something better
yeah.
on my own than what you've got to sell me, is a good deal. And so that's kind of how I look at it.
That's another part about this market and the future that we've never had before. A finite amount of properties. There's no land left. We're not going to have any more big tracts. Otay Mesa is about it, and when that's done, that's it.
That's mostly townhomes, and there's some detached there too, but it's a lot of attached.
And it's too far away for anybody who's living from the 8 freeway north. You can't just go, well, I'll just go to Otay Mesa. Nothing wrong with it, but it's too far if you're used to living in North County someplace. And if there's no other new homes, it's finite, but people keep moving here. People keep getting richer from the stock market, from parents, grandparents giving them money, selling the farms in Iowa, people retiring, coming here. It's a great place to retire if you got the money, if you're unlimited. And there's going to keep being an inflow of people here. If there isn't enough people leaving, which you pretty much have to leave the state now to make it worth it. You can't just sell your house in Carlsbad and move to Encinitas. Might as well just stay put.
Yeah.
With that imbalance, people coming in with finite a number of homes, you gotta like your chances that prices are going to keep going up.
Couldn't say it better myself. Jim Klinge, thank you so much for coming in today, man.
Derrick,
It was
my
great
pleasure.
to have you. Really appreciate your
My
time.
pleasure.
Hey guys, share this video with your friends. Let's help make them smarter than everyone else.